I will now read the preface of the Kyokyo Shinsho, which explains the essence of the Jodo Shinshu tradition. I will read the English and then the Japanese. I reflect within myself. The universal vow, difficult to fathom, is indeed a great vessel bearing us across the ocean difficult to cross. The unhindered light is the sun of wisdom, dispersing the darkness of our ignorance. Thus it is that, when conditions for the teaching of birth in the Pure Land had matured, Devadatta provoked Ajatashatru to commit grave crimes. And when the opportunity arose for explaining the pure act by which birth is settled, Shakyamuni led Vaidehi to select the land of peace. In their selfless love, these incarnated ones, Devadatta, Ajatashatru, Vaidehi, all aspired to save the multitudes of beings from pain and affliction. And in his compassion, Shakyamuni, the great hero, sought indeed to bless those committing the 5 grave offenses, those slandering the Dharma, and those lacking the seed of Buddhahood. We know, therefore, that the auspicious name embodying the perfectly fulfilled supreme virtues is true wisdom that transforms our evil into virtue, and that the diamond-like Shinjin, so difficult to accept, is true reality that sweeps away doubt and brings us to attainment of enlightenment. This, then, is the true teaching, easy to practice for small, foolish beings. It is a straight way easy to traverse for the dull and ignorant. Among all the teachings the great sage preached in his lifetime, none surpasses this ocean of virtues. Let the one who seeks to abandon the defiled and aspire for the pure, who is confused in practice and vacillating in faith, whose mind is dark and whose understanding deficient, whose evils are heavy and whose karmic obstructions manifold. Let such persons embrace above all the Tathagata's exhortations, take refuge without fail in the most excellent direct path, devote themselves solely to this practice, and revere only this Shinjin. Hard to encounter even in many lifetimes is the decisive cause of birth, Amida's universal vow. Hard to realize even in myriads of kalpas is pure Shinjin that is true and real. If you should come to realize this practice in Shinjin, rejoice at the conditions from the distant past that have brought it about. But if in this lifetime you are still entangled in a net of doubt, then unavoidably you must pass once more in the stream of birth and death through myriads of kalpas. Wholly sincere indeed are the words of truth that one has grasped, never to be abandoned, the right Dharma, all surpassing and wondrous. Hear and reflect, and let there be no wavering or apprehension. How joyous I am, Putok Shindang, disciple of Shakyamuni. Rare is it to come upon the sacred scriptures from the westward land of India and the commentaries of the masters of China and Japan, but now I have been able to encounter them. Rare is it to hear them, but already I have been able to hear. Reverently entrusting myself to the teaching, practice, and realization that are the true essence of the Pure Land Way, I am especially aware of the profundity of the Tathagata's benevolence. Here I rejoice in what I have heard and extol what I have attained.密かに思ん見れば汝の偶勢は何度かいを度する大戦、無下の光明は無明の案を発する縁日なり、しかればすなわち情報円熟して上達邪世をして学外を講ぜしむ、上合期現れて釈迦偉大をして安寧を選ばしたまえり、これすなわち権家の人等しく苦悩の群網を臭いし、世王の日まさしく逆法先代を恵まんとおぼす。かるがゆえに真ぬ、遠入取得の加号は悪を転じて徳をなす承知、南進混合の信行は疑いを除き悟りを得しむる真理なりと。しかれば凡生種子やすき心境、愚鈍行きやすき設計なり、大小の一代の経、この特会にしくなし、絵を捨て情を願い、行に惑い、真に惑い、心暗く悟り少なく、悪をもく触り大きもの、ことに如来の発見を仰ぎ、必ず最小の直道に帰してもっぱらこの行に仕え、ただこの真をあがめよう。ああ、偶勢の望遠、 多少にももうあいがたく、真実の上心奥行にも得がたし、たまたま行心を得ば遠く祝宴を喜べ。もしまたこの度疑問に不平せられば、かえってまた皇后を協略せん。まことなるかな、摂取不赦の真言、長世家の消防、問死して治療することなかれ。ことに愚徳釈の親鸞、喜ばしいかな、聖番月始の焦点、当下自治域の子爵に相がたくして今会うことを得たり、聞くがたくしてすでに聞くことを得たり、真宗の教、行、章を共振して、ことに如来の音読、深きことを信ぬ。ここをもって聞くところを喜び、売るところを嘆ずるなりと。ナマンナムナンマンナナマンナウスナンマンナウスナンマンナウスナマンナウスナマンナナマンナナマンナナマンナナマンナナマンナナマンナウスナマンナウスナマンナウスナマンナウスナマンナウス。 Please join me in Gasho. The light of compassion illumines us from afar. Those beings it reaches, it is taught, attain the joy of Dharma. So take refuge in Amida, the great consolation. Hymns of the Pure Land. Jikko haruka ni kaburashime, hikari no itaru tokoro ni wa, hoki o u tozo nobeta mo, dai angi o kimi o seo, to namandaps. Good morning. I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe. This is the Sunday service for May the 31st, 2020. Today I'd like to continue our discussion on Amida Buddha and what the Buddha is. The other week I talked about Amida Buddha as the embodiment of infinite light and life, and I talked about life a little bit more in detail. And so today I'd like to talk about the relationship between wisdom and compassion. In contrast to the Buddha, the embodiment of wisdom and compassion, there is the sentient being, us. We may have some compassion for others, we may have some wisdom, but they are very limited. And to give you a small example, we tend only to take care and be concerned about our immediate family and friends, people we have ties and connections with. But the Buddha Dharma has boundless wisdom and compassion, and altruistic compassion for all beings. And how is this possible? Why is it that we need Amida Buddha? What does Amida Buddha provide for us? Amida Buddha is explained as infinite light and life, which are synonymous with the terms wisdom and compassion in Mahayana Buddhism. So wisdom on the one hand corresponds to light, and then compassion corresponds to life. Amida Buddha is the embodiment of both infinite wisdom and compassion. So you might be wondering, why is it wisdom and compassion? Why those two traits? Couldn't it have been like love or peace, right? Or mindfulness or kindness, or simply just don't be a jerk in life, right? Why these two specific traits, wisdom and compassion? What is it about these two that make it special and stand out in front of, before all other positive characteristic traits? I'd like to talk to you about something that happened the other day to me that might help to explain the relationship between wisdom and compassion. I've been going on walks with my son, and we go to a different place. And that day, one particular day, we went over to the Glass Museum, which is not too far from here. And we walked around and we came home. And on the way home, there's this small little pizza place. So I decided to get my son a cold beverage to drink on the way home because it was a really sunny day. I go in the store and I buy the drink, and the lady gives me the drink. And my son is watching this entire transaction take place, right? And so after this, he opens the drink and we finish our walk home. And later when we get home, my son is holding the drink and he gives it to his mom, and she asks where he got it. So he proceeds to tell her how he got the drink. He explains that he got the drink for free, right? And so my wife asks me then, right, you got this drink for free, you know? And so to which I interjected and I said, well, no, I mean, that's not what happened at all, you know? Keisai, why are you making up a story like that? You know, that's not what happened. Why did my son just lie? You know, I'm thinking to myself. Or maybe he wanted to make up some kind of, you know, fancy, you know, fantastic story to tell his mom to make it sound more interesting. Or maybe he doesn't know what a transaction looks like. You know, so to him, it just looked like some lady gave us a bottle of juice, right, a drink. And I was pretty confused by this matter, and I was kind of confused as to why my son would make up a story like that. Well, later on that day, I was talking to my wife about the matter, and I asked her why she thinks he lied. Is our son a liar? Are we not teaching him something right? Maybe I should be explaining to him more that it's better to explain things honestly and to be honest, right? It was also concerning that he really didn't even seem to care that or show any remorse about the matter as well. But then I remembered my time in Japan. I recalled these moments from my time in Japan. I lived in Japan for some years, and my Japanese is okay, but it's not fluent enough to be considered a native speaker. And so I can get by, but in conversations. But once the conversation kind of has complicated, or it gets complicated to explain things, then I find it harder and harder to be able to explain myself. And it was actually pretty frustrating. Actually, as a matter of fact, the other person actually had to kind of guess sometimes as to what I was saying in order to make the conversation move forward. Sometimes they would guess right, and sometimes they would guess wrong. But even when they guessed wrong, I would just kind of like nod my head and say, "Yeah, that's right," as if that was right, thinking, "Oh well, as long as my point gets across." And there were other times where I wouldn't explain things enough because I didn't have the words. And so I would just hope that the other person would understand what I am talking about. There were many times where I just didn't have the vocabulary to be able to explain myself accurately. I could only, explain kind of generally what I was trying to say. And this happened to me a lot during my time in Japan. I'm sure many people from other countries who are here in America, where English is not their, native speaking language, they must be feeling the same way, right? And understand what that situation is like. So anytime you're speaking to a foreigner or someone whose native tongue is not English, please be extra understanding of them. But anyway, so when I thought back to this situation, I suddenly realized that the same thing was happening to my son. It wasn't that he was lying. He wasn't making up some fantastic or interesting story. He was simply trying to use the words that he knew to try and explain the situation as best as he could. And once I realized this, I went from being concerned, being worried, kind of disappointed, to being like, "Oh, my son, he's trying." So I became more kind of understanding, more accepting and compassionate towards him. So now when I speak to him and he seems to struggle finding the words to explain the situation or what he's thinking and feeling, I try to help by calmly and patiently listen to him and help him find the words that he needs to explain things more clearly. I'm really sorry that I'm kind of putting myself in the Buddhist position here in the analogy, but I hope it's abundantly clear that I'm not in any way trying to say that at all. But I do tell this story because I want to make a point about the relationship between wisdom and compassion. When the situation is understood, in other words, when one gains the wisdom, then the person will act in a way to implement that wisdom and help the situation, and this is called compassion. The two go hand in hand. Why? Because once there is wisdom, that person cannot stand idly by and do nothing. When I understood the situation of my son, I could not help but to act out of love for him and try to think of ways to be able to help his situation. When I had the understanding of his situation, I could not just stand idly by and watch him struggle. I had to try and find a way to help him in his situation. Similarly, true wisdom means that there is now the motivation to act. In Mahayana Buddhism, it is impossible to have one without the other. Wisdom means compassion. Compassion means wisdom. Wisdom is to understand the situation at hand and all of the causes and conditions that led up to the situation at hand. It is to have It is to have perfect knowledge and to see the situation as it is, without the bias of attachments, and only the Buddha can do this. Compassion, then, is to put into motion that wisdom in order to help the situation. In Buddhism, the situation at hand is the suffering of all sentient beings. Amida Buddha understands the situation that sentient beings are engulfed in a dire situation that they cannot break free from. But have no fear, because Amida Buddha puts that wisdom into motion as compassion by providing a path to spiritual liberation through the Nembutsu. Amida Buddha is the encapsulation of great wisdom and compassion. Amida Buddha's great wisdom is put into action through great compassion. So Amida Buddha knows that we do not have the ability to break free from this world of delusion based on our own power, and thus provides us with the path to liberation by telling us of the principle of the Buddha Dharma, which we call Amida Buddha. Amida Buddha gives us the hope, the aspiration, the strength, and vigor to live in this life, because we are given the wisdom that we are embraced within the Buddha's compassion. Amida Buddha tells us this life is precious and there is deep meaning to be found in our lives. Please join me in Gassho. The light of compassion illumines us from afar. Those beings it reaches, it is taught, attain the joy of Dharma. So take refuge in Amida, the great consolation. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandabs, 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 Namandabs.
The spirit of Buddha is great wisdom and compassion to save all people by any and all means. It is the spirit of a mother toward her child, nourishing and protecting it. It is the spirit that prompts us to be ill with the sickness of people, to suffer with their suffering. Your suffering is my suffering, and your happiness is my happiness, said Buddha. He does not forget that spirit for a single moment. For it is the self-nature of Buddhahood to be compassionate.